Yeah. Oh, geez, you caught me off guard. Um, Let me get ready. All right, now I'm ready. I'm Some Guy, and this is Some Guy in 360. The best way to watch these videos is with a VR headset. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can still use a mobile device. Recommended way of using a mobile device to watch these videos is to put the video in full screen mode and then to put the phone or the mobile device into landscape mode. That is this way. And if you have an office chair, that's even better because you can swivel around. But with the phone in landscape mode, you can now move around and you can see everything in 360. Or you can click and drag on the screen and stay stationary and look around at 360 that way. If you have a computer or a laptop, make the video full screen and click and drag with your mouse to move the screen around. If the resolution is too high and it causes buffering, you can go to the video settings and you can lower the resolution to 720p, 1080p. If you do have a good connection and you're able to, set it all the way up to the highest resolution possible. Well, anyways, welcome to Some Guy in 360. I hope you enjoy. All right, how beautiful is this? So this is a tour of the cottage in Maine. As you can see, the beach is right there. So is the ocean. And we're on the front porch. We're gonna go inside in just a little bit and we're gonna take a look around. But for now, you can pause the video and look around if you'd like, and then resume play when you're ready. In fact, you can do that at any point in time during this video. If you want to take a look at something for a little bit longer than the clip allows, just pause the video. You can still look around in full 360, and then when you're ready, just hit resume play and you can continue. But yeah, so this is the front. This is New Barn Cove. This is the cottage. I've been coming here since I was a wee little lad. My grandparents bought it years and years ago, I think in the 1940s, like 1944 or something like that. And now it's 2025 and I get to enjoy it. But yeah, check that out. Huh? Yeah, so why don't we go inside and take a look around. So this is the inside. Well, part of the inside. This is what I guess would be considered the living room. There's an old Franklin stove, got the couch, books of all types here. One that I remember reading ever since I was a little buck was this book by Helen Hoke called Jokes, Jokes, Jokes. Let's give it a little example. Little Victoria, watching the farmhand spreading out a stack of hay to dry, could contain her curiosity no longer. She politely asked, "Is it a needle you're looking for?" Stupid little jokes. But anyways, yeah. We got some family albums up there. My grandfather, Huey, is the one, well, his real name was Dr. Ralph Cole, but we always called him Huey because I guess one of my cousins, when he was little, saw him and said, "Who he?" So we call him Huey now. But he put up this picture that's right here, and the log. Got a little seagull here. If you pull on it, it'll flap. Shells, things like that. View of the ocean. This is a photo I took with my drone that shows the marsh, which is in the back. I don't know if you can see that at all. But yeah, that marsh is what's right behind. There's that. And I remember being a kid, and you know, we had all kinds of games and toys, cards, crayons and stuff in there. Yeah. So that's a new addition, the heat and air conditioner. Got some movies up there. The albums are really cool. Shows pictures going all the way back to the early 40s. I think my dad has read every single book up there. Down below we got some more games. There used to be a wall right here back in the 40s, and that was taken down to make way to open it up. But yeah, let's go check out the dining room. So this is the dining room area. Right now I have my laptop and stuff set up. Sorry for the clutter. Again, it's just an extension of the living room, so you can see out, see the ocean and the beach. Now this clock right here, this I love, because when I come up to Maine, there's no better way to fall asleep than through the sound of the waves and the ocean. But also this clock, my grandfather found it in a dumpster many decades ago, and he fixed it up, and now it's been the main clock up here. I'm not gonna set the time just yet, but one of the first things I do when I come up here is I wind up the clock, because I don't know if you can hear it, but it's tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And so I, as a kid, would sleep in that room, which we'll check out in just a second. And late at night, I'd have the windows open. The whole cottage would be dark. You could hear the crashing of the waves, the gentle roll of the shore, and then you could also hear the tick. Oh man, it was such a great way to fall asleep. And then there was a nightlight that was right here that had a shell on it. So if I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I'd hear the ocean, I'd hear the tick-tock, and I'd come out and I'd see the shell, and I'd creep my way with just the creaking of the floor over to the bathroom and stuff. Binoculars and stuff, toys, balls, beach kind of stuff. The light switch for the front porch is right over here. We do rent this place out now on Airbnb, and so we've set up some rules and regulations and basic information for when people come and rent the place out. This is a binder that has all the info about it, where you can get lobsters and things like that. By the way, the cottage is called the Sanderling. Sanderlings are the little birds that run on the shorelines, little tiny little bastards, you know. But yeah, so this is the dining room, and I remember sometimes we'd have like the whole family here, man. There'd be like 13, 14 people here, my aunts, my cousins, my grandparents, and we have another fold-out card table in here, and we would push this up against the wall, set the other one up, and there'd be the whole family here having lobsters with potato chips, dipping the lobster meat in little ramekins of melted butter, steamed clams, and all kinds of stuff. This bureau is where all the placemats and things like that go. We'll check out the rooms now too. The double room is over there. The twin bedroom is over there. The queen bedroom is there, and the master bedroom is right there, and we'll check that out right now. So this is the master bedroom. As a kid, this was always where the grown-ups, the adults, and the parents slept, and kids and company would stay in the other rooms. Even as an adult, I don't sleep in this room because I still call it the grown-up room. And even though I am definitely a grown-up now, I don't know, there's something sacred or nostalgic about it. I don't stay in here because this is where my parents slept. This is, you know, this was the parents, the grown-ups room. So yeah, I mean, I come in every now and then and, you know, check it out and remember, because I remember, you know, in the morning my mom would be laying down, or even at night, you know, reading a book, and I'd come in and I would talk to her. You know, my dad, he would stay on that side, my mom would stay on this side, you know. But yeah, you can see the Russ house probably. I don't know if the glare is too high, but the neighbors, the Russ, have that cottage there. And the view, I don't know if you're able to see it due to lighting right now, but man, look at that. Being in this room and waking up and seeing the beach, which, by the way, we are definitely going to be taking a tour of, so don't you worry, we'll be going all up and down that beach in this tour. But yeah, liquor used to be kept up here, but now that we rent it out to Airbnb, we don't provide liquor, that's for sure. So that's moved to the back house. Yeah, there's a back house too. There's the front cottage, and then there's the back house, which has an upper living area and a lower living area. But we only rent the front part out for Airbnb. And you get the closet right here. There used to be a laundry hamper here where you could just like lift up the lid and put the laundry down. Things like that. But yeah, this is nice. Get some nice paintings on the wall. Extra storage up there. But yeah, why don't we go check out the twin bed? So this is the twin bedroom. This is the room that I would stay in when I was growing up and coming up here. The beds used to go that way and this way, and basically the curtains and the comforters and everything are all different. This is different from when I was a kid, but that shell board, the lamps, like everything else, the bureau, the chest, the stool, everything is pretty much how it was when I was growing up. Now, I would get in trouble a lot, and I would have temper tantrums. I'd be screaming and yelling. I'd be sent to the room, and I'd be looking out here, hoping that, like seeing if like any of the other kids on the beach were playing and climbing the rocks. And I'd be so mad. I'd be like, man, I want to go out there, rah, rah, rah. And I'd have to stay in here until I calmed down, until my parents, said, all right, you can come out of the room. But yeah, and out here, you can see the tennis court and the marsh. The whole house got lifted this past year. It used to be ground level. Now you'll see when we go outside, but it's all lifted like 10, 12 feet, something like that. But yeah, I remember many, many years looking out this window, getting a glimpse of the beach, looking out that way, and all the kids on the beach. There's like 7 other cottages on the beach, and each generation there were kids that we'd play with, and all the kids just running across everyone's yard, playing hide and seek, hiding underneath each other's stairs and everything. But yeah, this is the room that I grew up in. Whenever we came up here, this is the room I stayed in. Now we'll go check out the room with the queen bed, where my sister would stay when we came up here growing. So this was my sister's room whenever we came up here every year. This is the room that my sister would stay in. For the most part, just like with the twin bedroom, furniture wise, everything is the same. Curtains and comforters and stuff have changed, but everything else it's still the same, Sometimes I'm not in touch with my sister anymore. That's a story for a different time. But every now and then I come in this room and I imagine how she would have felt looking out the windows and everything. There's a closet here where we keep sheets and stuff, household goods, paper towels, things like that. I don't really know what my sister would have done in here. In the twin room, I remember bouncing from bed to bed, causing a big havoc. My sister was more low-key. But yeah, this is where she stayed. Shall we check out the kitchen? Alright, so this is the kitchen. Many a nights my mom would be here cooking up, a meal. She used to make hot meals every night, whether we were at home or up here on vacation. But it has all the amenities: microwave, stove, oven, toaster, coffee maker, Keurig. There's a toaster oven right there. All the bar essentials are in here, like glasses and shakers and wine openers and stuff. And in here is the plates and bowls. I used to love it because up here, like, every family has its own plateware and stuff. But this is the stuff that, like, ever since my mom was a little girl, she's like 81 now. When she was a little girl, this was the same stuff that she ate off of, And it's just, so it's nostalgic when you come up here and you see, I'm in my 40s now. It's like, I was eating on these things when I was like 5, so it's very nostalgic. These bowls and plates and stuff. Whoops, careful. The dishwasher, there's a dishwasher even, but it's one of those ones that you have to do that. But yeah, there is a dishwasher. Down there is where we keep the lobster pot for whenever we cook lobsters. There's other pots and pans down there. In here we got colanders, salad bowls, measuring cups, cheese graters, and down here is where all the big bowls and baskets for holding bread and all that stuff is. Of course, there's the little ramekins. Whenever we have lobsters or steamed clams, we melt butter and you can dip them in there. And another, you use two. One holds some of the broth from boiling the lobsters, the clams. You rinse off the the clam, and then you dip it in another ramekin that has the butter. Super delicious. And of course, what kind of cottage in Maine is complete without the proper utensils for eating lobsters? You got your crackers, and you got your little pokey things to get the meat out of the claws, But yeah, and the water here in Maine, oh man, it has such a distinct flavor. It takes me back. Every time I taste it, I'm just like, back in Maine. And there's a little pantry over here that whenever we came up here, my parents would put like all the s'mores stuff, like marshmallows, chocolate, graham crackers and stuff. And I would sneak out of my room in the middle of the night, open up the pantry and like steal cookies and marshmallows and stuff. Got a big old refrigerator in here. And a pull-out freezer, just like that. I don't know if you can see it, but out that window is the back house. We'll check that out in a minute. It's kind of hard to see through windows when you have a camera. Sometimes the light over it, it washes out in the windows, so it's kind of hard to see out. But yeah, this is the kitchen. Welcome aboard. And now there used to be all kinds of little knickknacks in this place. When it was only family and stuff. Over the years, things just piled up. There was like a sword marshmallow toaster up there and all kinds of decorations. But now that we rent it out for Airbnb, there's not a lot of personal stuff in the front cottage anymore. It's more just everyday run-of-the-mill appliances and things like that. But yeah, why don't we go on to the new back porch and check out the backyard. So this is the new back porch. I don't know if you can tell by looking down, but where the shingles end, about 4 feet low. Basically, this was a lot lower. This was a lot lower. It was almost to ground level. About halfway, that cement column. This went down about halfway down that cement column, because there still was a crawl space that you could get under. You could crawl under the house to get kayaks and stuff like that. But now it's lifted like an additional 5 to 6 feet or something like that. So we got this new porch. Before, the porch went out and there was just like that many stairs. In fact, that lower area right there, that's about where this porch used to be, right about the same height that lower section right here is, and those stairs went out there. But now we got this. It's almost the same level as the back house, which, by the way, there's the back house. The top is called the belfry. That's where my grandparents used to stay when they were up here with us and things like that. And then there's also the lower, called the peas. I call it the pea pod, because there was my mom and her 2 sisters, Pam, Pat, and Prudy, the 3 P's. Now, the lower part, it has a master bedroom, a twin bedroom, a full bath, and a dining room kitchenette area. There's no stove or anything. There's a plug-in stove, but yeah, it's more of a cottagey kind of thing. Up there, it's fully carpeted. Kind of feels like the 70s, with 70s kind of decor. Full-on kitchen, master bedroom, full bath. It's the kind of the nicest. This is the most nostalgic part of up here. The belfry is the more nice area of up here. It's a little cluttered right now, so we're not going to go check that out. It's because there's a lot of work has been being done on the house. Had it lifted, new landscaping and things like that, so it's a little cluttered. I'm not going to show you that. But yeah, that's really nice. Over there is the Dean's. That's the Dean's garage is all the way over there. I grew up with Josh, Ryan, and Jamie. That's where they would stay. My first kiss was in that garage. We were playing Truth or Dare. And then you have the Churchills right here. The house after is the Lampsons. The Rusts are right here. Every single house here has a front house and a back house. But ours is the only one that has a smaller front house and a larger back house. The others, as you can see, have a larger front house and a smaller back house. The tennis court is right over there. We'll check that out in a little bit. The Rusts own that. And I don't know if you can make it out, but there's the marsh right back there. But yeah, we do a little grilling down on the sides. Do some laundry and just have the nice ocean air, dry it out and everything. But yeah, so let's go check out another area. So this is what the house looks like from the back. You can see the new work that's being done. There's going to be an outdoor shower reinstalled right here. But now you can walk completely underneath. There's going to be lattice work put up. Lattice work is like the diamond patterned wood trestle kind of stuff. Yeah. Got the boat. Let's go check out over there. So this is the marsh behind the house. I believe it's Little River. Comes down from there and empties out into the ocean down there. In some of my other videos, you might have seen me talking about Timber Point. In fact, I do a quick little tour of Timber Point and Timber Island. You should check that video out. But that's down at the end of the road, and that's where this empties into, is that marsh that's over there. And then we get the tennis court. You can go tubing in there. When the tide comes in or out, you can ride inner tubes or kayak. There's a big rock that's out there you can climb on and jump off of. But yeah, and then There's the Russ house and the Dean's house to the right, and then ours is right over there. We used to own this part of the marsh, and then my grandparents donated it to Rachel Carson. That's what those signs are. It's the Rachel Carson National Wildlife Refuge. You're not supposed to walk on the grass, but those of us that have been coming up here since for decades, we'll still go at least to one of the channels and get into because you can explore the tributaries and the channels. You just can't walk on the grass, but we'll still do it from time to time. We're just very careful. We know to look for birds' nests and things like that. But yeah, why don't we try to get a bit of the beach explored? This is the beach in front of the house. There's the front right there. The Russ already have some winter protections put up on their windows, because remember, it's September, the end of September right now. All these houses here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's another one on the side, all 7. They're not really winterized, so they get shut down for the winter. The Russ have already started doing that. But yeah, why don't we go check out some of the beach? I'll show you some of the rocks that we used to climb on and everything, and the names of them and everything. So this is Rainbow Rock. We call it Rainbow Rock because when the tide goes out and the rock is still wet, or when it's raining and then the sun comes out, it sometimes looks like there's a rainbow going around it. Yeah, we used to climb it all the time. You can even jump off this when the tide comes in. The tide goes all the way up almost to the wall. So sometimes you can swim out to this and you can jump off into the water as the waves come in and everything. It's really nice. And now I'll show you Lightning Rock. That one over there. So this is Lightning Rock. I bet you can't guess why it's called that. Come on, I'll give you 50 guesses. But yeah, I used to climb on this. This half has gotten lower over the years, but I used to be able to be on this side, and then I would jump over to this side and grab onto it. You know, the bottom is more exposed now. This used to be all buried in sand. The beach changes every year anyways, so sometimes it's really rocky, kind of like it is now. Other times it's really sandy. But yeah, so Lightning Rock and Rainbow Rock. Now we'll go check out House Rock. This is House Rock. It's called that because as kids, all the kids on the beach usually play house on here. You know, you've got the living room, you got the kitchen, you know, the play areas and stuff, and just crawl on it and explore. There's another rock over here. I'll show you that next. And that's called Bathtub Rock. And that's usually where, when people on the beach cook lobsters, the best way to do it is to cook it in the water from the cove. So we'll go to Bathtub Rock, which you can actually lay in, and the water stays in it. You'll see why it's called that. I'll explain more of that when we go over there. So this is Bathtub Rock. It's called that, as you can see, because it looks like a bathtub. Even though there's a bunch of seaweed, you can actually get in there and you can lay down, and since that's shallow, once the tide goes out, this water gets trapped in there and the sun warms it up. So it's like bathtub water. It's so warm. But that's usually where we grab a pot full of water to boil the lobsters and the clams. Now, I don't know if you can see it too well, but there's a rock that's out in the water, and it's shaped like a sperm whale. We call it whale rock. The long chain of rocks out on the water right there, we call train rock. We're gonna go over there and I'll show Bald Rock and show you what that side of the beach looks like. So yeah, let's go check it out. So the rock right there is called Bald Rock. Just like with Lightning Rock, I bet you can't guess why it's called Bald Rock. It looks like it has like a monk's, like just the hairline on the side, but nothing on the top. But yeah, at high tide, this water tends to be a little warmer for some reason in this part of the cove. Maybe because it's just naturally a little shallower, I don't know, but it's a nice place to go swimming. And at high tide, you can swim out to that rock, climb on top of it, and dive and jump into the ocean. You used to be able to find all kinds of things like starfish and sand dollars and all kinds of things in the seaweed over there. I think what we'll do is I'll show you one more thing over there, a place that used to be a hideout for me when I was a kid, and then I'll show you the other end of the beach. So let's go check out that area over there. So it's kind of hard to see, but there is a little entrance that comes down. If you watch, goes in there. And on this side, there's a glove. But watch where the glove goes. See how it went into that hole? So I would climb down through that hole, and this is like a roof, and I would poke my head up and I would spy on the whole beach in my own little hideaway right there. And it's right next to where these stairs are. The stairs go up over Sea Spray Drive and onto the next beach. We called that one Sand Dollar Beach, and the beach after that is Fortune's Rocks. I think in one of my 360 one of my VR experience playlist videos, and one of my in my VR experience playlist, I do a VR experience where you can stand on the roof of my car at Fortune's Rocks, so make sure you check that out. And then there's the end of the beach. Like, it's really hard. I know it's in 360, so you can look around and everything, but words can't express just how beautiful this is. And you can smell the seaweed. Some people might say it stinks, you know? It smells like marsh and rotting seaweed and ocean and all that. Nice little breeze. Look at the sky. These bushes, by the way, they're called rose hips. And they actually have some of the highest concentration of vitamin C. You can make rose hips tea, you can make rose hips wine. You can do all kinds of stuff with rose hips. That's what those bushes are, and they have these red berries that you might be able to spot. But yeah, so now I'm going to show you the other side of the beach. Let's go check it out. Man, it's beautiful here. So this is the other side of the beach, and as you can see, there's not as many big rocks here. Now, the unique thing about this cove is that where Lightning Rock and Rainbow Rock are, you draw a line straight down the center of the cove. To the left, there's a whole bunch of rocks and boulders under the water, seaweed. Everything to the right, this is actually just sand all the way out to the point. Sometimes it's a little rocky up here, like little tiny rocks, but there's no boulders. It's just straight sand all the way over there. Now, in Maine, you actually own to the low tide line if you have beachfront property. So technically, this beach is a private beach owned by everyone right here on the beach itself. However, we do allow people from the point and the sides and stuff to set up chairs and umbrellas and hang out here and put their kayaks and all that. And everyone can explore the beach. We just don't allow people to set up chairs and stuff in front of the houses, because if you let one person, then everyone thinks that they can do it. So we allow people to set up on the ends chairs, they can have picnics, whatever, and they can explore the beach. They just can't set up right out in front of the houses. So the Bleckmans, their daughter Missy is the one that taught me how to water ski. I water skied in this cove. The very first time I ever water skied, never fell. Stayed up the whole time. Let's see here. I will point to the houses and let you know what's what. So the first house on the left here is the Smiths / Deans. That's the Smiths cottage. Then it's the Rusts cottage, the Coles cottage, which is the one I'm at. Then you have the Churchill's cottage, you have the Lamson's cottage, and then you have the Montgomery's cottage. And then just on the other side of that one, you can barely see it, that's the Gillies. And then the big one at the very end, with the green roof, that's a new one that was just built a couple years ago. That's also owned by the Rusts, who own the second one in from the left here. But yeah, they just redid this whole wall, the seawall and everything. Last winter, a storm devastated the whole beach. Half the houses were really damaged, hence why we had to lift the house. So that way in the future, if there's a storm, water can flow under the house. But they had to build an entire new seawall there, and on the other side you can see a color difference in the seawall, where it's kind of a brownish orange in front of, you know, the cottage I'm at. That's old wall, but the rest on that end and on this end is all brand new seawall. And the town came and they rebuilt this whole stone wall area right here. The road was destroyed, was absolutely destroyed. Yeah, we used to be able to go to the points and have picnics, but now people complain, oh, I don't want you in front of my house, just like we do, so it's all fair. But yeah, we can't explore the points anymore. We can't really explore the marsh, like on the grassy areas anymore. There was a flat rock. You can't really make it out from your angle, but there's Picnic Rock, which we used to just set up a blanket and eat turkey sandwiches and stuff. And then this long flat area right here, that's Picnic Rock number 2. But yeah, I mean, there's the beach. I mean, you can collect shells, you can go fishing, kayaking, swimming. It's the end of October, so there's no boats moored out here, but usually there's a couple motorboats, a couple sailboats. Early in the morning, there's all types of lobster buoys out there, and early in the morning, all the lobstermen come and, you know, they get their lobsters. The sun rises over there and it sets over there. So you see the sun rise over the cove, and then you can watch, you go to the back porch and you can watch the sun set over the marsh. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, that'll conclude it for the tour of the cottage in Maine and New Barn Cove. Take a look around. That is so beautiful. But anyways, I'm some guy, and I'll see you on the next one.